Welcome back to the Red Dice Diaries, and in this RPG review we're going to be reviewing Gothnog's Critical Hits, which is a 5th edition critical hit / fumble system, published appropriately enough by Critical Hit Publishing. It's written by Alex Skillet, aka Captain Gothnog, with contributions from Rob Davis and myself. It's an 11-page full-colour PDF designed for 5th edition D&D, but broadly compatible with any D20 level based system. Now, I sent a few suggestions to Alex that he used in this PDF, and he was kind enough to send me a review copy of it. Whilst normally I wouldn't review a product that I'd written, my input was confined solely to a few suggestions, so I feel it's not a conflict of interest to do so in this case. The PDF is laid out in a manner that will be familiar to fans of 5th edition and D20 versions of D&D, with a faux parchment style of background and twin columns of text. It's a nice comfortable layout that not only lets the reader know they are on familiar ground, but it's also very easy on the eye, whether it's printed out or on a screen. I would probably have gone for justifying the text myself, but that's a really minor niggle and in no way impacted my enjoyment of the product. We begin with an explanation of why you might want to use critical hits in a game. I love that this focuses on the increased roleplay potential of describing actual injuries and attacks, rather than focusing on the systemic differences. As someone who grew up playing Warhammer Fantasy roleplay, which has some incredibly brutal critical hit tables, I'm well acquainted with how much more exciting and interesting it is to take a blow that numbs your character's arm and describing how they struggle to continue to fight, rather than simply crossing off a few hit points. The PDF also provides a guide on how critical injuries can be healed. Effectively, different injuries are assigned a value in terms of hit points. Once that value is healed, by magic or some other means, then the critical effect is cured. The main meat of the PDF is 2 percentage-based charts, one for critical hits and the other for critical fumbles. The authors have made the wise choice, in my opinion, not to worry too much about targeted shots and the like, but simply to describe injuries and fumbles that can affect different parts of the PC's bodies. One of the main advantages of 5th ed D&D to me over some previous editions is that the rules are fairly tight and don't have the degree of what I like to call rules splurge, where loads of additional subsystems are bolted on haphazardly over time onto the main mechanics of a game, eventually causing sessions to bog down and stall as people frantically flip through numerous supplements and additional rules trying to work out what's going on. The mechanism used in this book is nice and simple. When you roll a crit or a fumble, you roll a D100 on the appropriate table and apply the effects. How to cut down on the rolls even further, you could simply roll a D100 with each attack, and then if you do get a crit or a fumble on your D20, you apply the result based on the D100, otherwise you can simply ignore it. The charts are followed by a very handy single page of definitions for terms used in the publication. This is a great thing to see. I'd love to see more books with this in, and it would prevent you having to rifle back through your player's handbook and your Dungeon Master's guide if you forget the exact wording or terminology. The next chapter begins with an additional feat for 5th edition, where a PC can be an advanced healer, particularly skilled at treating the effects of critical injuries. There's an extra spell called Lesser Regeneration, no prizes for guessing what that does, and a series of prosthetic limbs that can be taken to compensate for the loss of limbs due to crits. The PDF rounds off with some magic items. Given that these are all themed around critical hits, I was surprised by the variety of items in this chapter. My personal favourite being the Bag of Keeping, that preserves any biological material placed in it. Very useful if a companion has had a limb lopped off and you can't immediately heal it. The PDF costs $2.95 US, which is just over £2 in British money, and for that you get a system that assists the narrative, adding flavour to your combats without bogging down the game in unnecessarily complex rules, along with some extra equipment, spells and magic items, all of which are very interesting and are practically crying out for adventures based on them. Now, I don't have enough experience with the 5th edition D&D system really at the moment to judge how balanced the effects of some of these critical hits are, but to be honest, I think for the price of this PDF and for the amount of interest there is in it, you can't really go far wrong. I highly recommend grabbing grabbing hold of this PDF if you're looking for a bit more oomph in your combat, especially if you play D&D, but I'm pretty sure it could be adapted to a lot of other systems with minimal effort. So there we are. I hope if you've enjoyed this video, you'll consider clicking on the red dice to subscribe to our channel. You can catch up with us on all the normal social media and our website/blog, www.reddicediaries.com. If you have any comments on this video, please either put them down below in the comments section or, as always, hit me up in the Google Plus links. Until I see you next time, take care and happy gaming.